Hello everyone, I'm Iko Musa, a master's student in field epidemiology at the Department of Community Medicine, University of Jos, Nigeria. I'll be presenting my analysis on identifying measles immunity gaps in the United States, analysis of vaccination coverage, geographical risks, and future outbreak projections. This was the overall question that needed to be answered. There is a changing attitude towards vaccination in the United States, which have significantly lowered childhood measles vaccination rate as uptake of the recommended 2 doses of measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine before entering school has significantly fallen below 95% recommended for community immunity. I developed 6 analysis questions that need to be answered to answer the public health issue. One is the temporal trend in measles cases across the United States, followed by the geographical area which have the highest risks, and the last one where the immunity gap that fell below the 95% herd immunity threshold. This was also translated to objectives that need to be achieved in the analysis to answer those questions, from analyzing and characterizing the temporal trends of measles cases across the United States from 1990 to 2025, to identifying geographical areas within the United States, determine the influence of geographical factors to compare and contrast measles situation in the United States with the global, and to project a short-term trajectory of measles cases in the United States and assess the potential health impact associated with these projections. And the last one is to identify immunity gaps within the United States where measles, mumps, and rubella vaccination coverage falls below the 95% herd immunity threshold. The analytic approach I used was, first, is to look at the temporal trend analysis, where I used ggplot2 and scales for visualization. Also for geospatial mapping, I use ggplot2 and maps, as well as Arcolor. In comparative analysis, tidyverse scales and lubricate were used to compare US cases with that of the global cases. For time series forecasting, ARIMA model was used, and ggplot2 was also used for visualization. And the last one is to look at the immunity gap. Before doing the analysis proper, data cleaning was done. It was downloaded, data set were downloaded from Geographic repository and cleaned before doing the analysis. For the first objective, which looks like the temporal trend of measles cases in the United States, you could see from the left side, the first chart shows the number of cases. It is in log scale because, as you know, measles transmission can be explosive from 1 case to 100 to thousands, hence using the log scale. There is some pattern here. From 1989, outbreak continues with a peak in 1990 before a sudden drop to cases in 2000. However, this persisted until 2019, until 2010, where the cases dropped and started appreciating again until 2019. Also, it drops to in 2020. However, from 2020 to 2025, there has been an persistent increase in cases of measles. Looking at the epidemiological curve, covering from 2023, weekly epidemiological curve from 2023 to 2025, we could see seasonal pattern here. Usually the peaks occurs from February until March in 2024, so also in this year 2025. For the states with highest risks of outbreak, you could see the state with highest risks are in red, while those that are nearly achieving the targets are in yellow, while those that achieve the target, so above the target, are in green. Most of the states with high risks are in mountainous region and also southern part of the United States. A majority of the states first to achieve the 95% herd immunity. Looking at the case count in 2025, Texas accounts for majority of cases with about 300 cases, followed by New Mexico and California. Looking at the age distribution, most of the cases are below 20 years of age, with those in the age group 5 to 19 years accounted for majority of the cases, with 79 cases. Comparing US cases with that of the global, because comparing directly the number of cases, you may not see the trend for US when you're comparing to global. Hence, I use proportion of peak quarterly cases. The first chart, you could see consistently US pattern is similar to that of the global proportion of cases, proportion of peaks in the quarterly cases. If you look at the seasonal pattern here on the right side, the other chart from 2011 to 2024, you could see most of proportion of annual cases. The peaks usually occurs from February till April. However, in November there is an upward rise in the proportion of annual cases in the USA compared to the global cases. For forecasting, you could see the trend in vaccination rates consistently falls, which is about 80% below the threshold of 95% since 1990 till 2025. Well, on the right side is the measles cases forecast under different scenarios when the vaccination rate is decreased by 5%, and also when the status quo remains the same, or when there's an improvement in vaccination coverage by 5%. And this is the impact under different scenarios. Overall, if there's a decrease in vaccination rate by 5%, the number of cases under different scenarios are all high. If you could see for complication, mortality, hospitalization, and also the overall total cases. For immunity gap distribution, the percentage point where states either achieve or below the targets is shown in this chart. Idaho is below the 95% herd immunity by almost 15%, followed by Alaska, Wisconsin, and the rest. Well, the state that achieved these targets first is West Virginia. is also the pattern of the vaccination status, the coverage status. In summary, largest US measles resurgence since 1990, with about 82% of cases in under 20% population, indicating that there is a sustained pediatric transmission. 15 states fell below 90% measles, mumps, and rubella coverage immunity gaps, with Texas showing the highest risks. And also 11 states achieved this 95% herd immunity threshold, although the current 75% national average insufficient to prevent this outbreak. A 5% vaccination improvement could prevent about 160 annual cases, with peak expected around February till April based on the seasonal pattern we've seen. And there is need to implement targeted vaccination campaigns in high-risk states, focusing on school-age population to achieve the 95% coverage and restore herd immunity. Thank you for listening.
So we are out of time, but I've got to say, your work is beautiful. So when I was on the committee that reviewed all of the submissions, and I was singularly impressed with the beauty of your storytelling and the beauty of the graphics. So you get my highest compliments. I wish we had time to talk more about how you did this, but we are out of time. But I want you to know this was beautiful work. I look forward to seeing what else you do in the future, because it's such a pleasure to see work at this level. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
My pleasure. And again, I really look forward to seeing what else you do, because whatever you touch is going to be beautiful. So thank you. And I'm going to hop over to the end of the meeting now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.